All right, let's dive into a pretty intense story. We're talking about the tragic downfall of Israel's very first king, a man named Saul. He was this powerful ruler, but his reign just completely ended in disaster. And his story really brings up a critical question, one that I think hits home for all of us.
So, what does happen when a king's fear is bigger than his faith? That question, it is the absolute heart of Saul's story. It's all about leadership, yeah, but it's also about pure desperation and the catastrophic choices we can make when we feel totally and utterly abandoned. Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this. A massive Philistine army is camped out at a place called Shunem, and right across from them on Mount Gilboa, you've got King Saul and his army. And Saul, he's looking out at this impossible enemy force, and the source material says it perfectly. He was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. You can just feel the panic setting in. And you know what's wild? This exact same battlefield has seen a totally different story play out. Years before, a leader named Gideon was here, facing a huge army with just 300 guys, and he won. Why? Because he was fueled by faith. But Saul, he feels completely defenseless. Not because his army is small, but because he's convinced God has completely abandoned him. So, you can imagine he's in deep, deep distress. It feels like the walls are closing in. He's desperate for any kind of guidance, any sign of what to do. He tries everything. He's looking for answers in dreams, from prophets. He even tries using this sacred tool called the Urim to figure out God's will. And what does he get? Nothing. Just complete silence from God.
So, why the silent treatment? Well, the source is pretty clear on this. Saul basically brought this on himself. He'd cut off all the lines of communication. Think about it. He ignored the prophet Samuel's advice. He chased after David, the guy God had already chosen to be the next king, and he even had the Lord's own priests killed. He had, step by step, pushed God completely out of the picture.
So here he is. No answer from heaven. He's facing what looks like certain destruction. And this proud king, in all his anguish and despair, makes a decision. He decides to look for help somewhere else, from a source that was completely, totally forbidden.
He actually tells his servants to go find him a necromancer, someone who can supposedly talk to the dead. The irony here is just staggering. This is Saul, the same king who had made a law that all wizards should be put to death, and now he's the one seeking out the very practice he called an abomination. Talk about a double standard.
So to do this, to go down this dark path, the king of Israel can't be the king. He has to become someone else. So he puts on a disguise. No one can know what he's about to do.
He travels by night, just him and 2 attendants, sneaking across the plain, right past the enemy camp. The whole thing is shrouded in secrecy and fear.
And where does this secret journey end? At the lonely, hidden home of a sorceress in a place called Endor. A woman who, we're told, has made a pact with some very dark powers.
Now, when they get there, the woman is understandably terrified. She thinks it's a trap, maybe even set by the king himself to catch her. But Saul, in his disguise, swears an oath. He promises her, "You won't be punished." So feeling a bit safer, she asks him the question, "Okay, who do you want me to bring up from the dead?"
And this is the moment it all comes to a head. He asks for the one person whose advice he completely ignored when he was alive, the prophet Samuel. Samuel's dead now, of course. That's how desperate Saul is. He's literally trying to use a messenger from hell to get in touch with heaven's ambassador. It's just unbelievable.
But let's be super clear about what the source material says happened next. It wasn't really Samuel. It was a deception. A holy prophet of God isn't just going to pop up because a sorcerer calls for him. No, this apparition, it explains, was an evil spirit, powered by Satan, just taking on the form of Samuel.
At this point, Saul has just snapped the very last thread connecting him to God. He has willingly placed himself under the control of this other power. And now, after all that searching, he finally gets an answer.
And the message that comes through, it's absolutely horrifying. It confirms every single one of his worst fears. The Spirit tells him, God has left you. The kingdom is going to be ripped away and given to David. And then, the final blow. Tomorrow Israel will be defeated, and you and your sons, you will die.
Can you even imagine hearing that? Saul just collapses. He's done.
The source describes him swaying like an oak before the tempest, a powerful image. There is zero hope left. None. He is just terrified, guilt-ridden, and completely, utterly broken.
Really, by turning to that dark spirit, Saul had already sealed his own fate. He destroyed himself in that moment. How could a man crushed by that kind of despair possibly inspire his army to be brave? He couldn't. And so the prophecy of doom starts to come true almost immediately. The battle on Mount Gilboa is a total disaster. The Israelite army just breaks and runs. Saul has to watch as his 3 sons are killed right there beside him. Then he himself is wounded by archers. He knows it's over, and he begs his armor-bearer to kill him so he won't be captured. But the guy refuses. So Saul, he takes his own life, falling on his own sword.
But the horror isn't even over yet. It gets worse. The Philistines find the bodies. They cut off Saul's head. They take his armor as trophies. They parade these trophies all over their land to celebrate their victory, thanking their false gods. And then they hang the bodies of Saul and his sons on a city wall for everyone to see. It's the ultimate dishonor.
But, you know, the story doesn't end on that horrific note. There's one final noble act. The men from a town that Saul had once saved, a place called Jabesh-gilead, they remembered the king he used to be. They remembered his past heroism. So they travel through the night, take the bodies down from that wall, and give him a proper, honorable burial. It's this one small act of kindness in an ocean of tragedy.
Wow, what a story. Saul's downfall is such a powerful reminder of a man who was given literally everything and lost it all. Yeah, he was in a terrible spot, no doubt about it. But in the end, it was his own desperate, fear-driven choices that sealed his fate. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? It leaves us with that big question. When it comes to our own lives, what really decides our story? Is it our circumstances, or is it our choices?